What's going on, everyone? This is Kyle Nash here, bringing you this week's edition, or this Monday's edition, I should say, of Beyond the Buzzer. Of course, I am the student of the game, and I'm here bringing things down. Danny Thompson will be with us momentarily. He's dealing with storms in his area, and we all know how that goes if you're trying to have some sort of an internet and make things work and all that other stuff. But we'll go ahead and get you off the ground first. Our shouts to Mentality Barbershop, the best partner shop in Central Florida. Make sure you check out and say hello to Corey Lamar, doing things, making sure you come out smooth. And listen, back when he was still in Orlando, you saw how shiny and smooth Danny Thompson's dome would be if you watched this show, which if you haven't, first of all, please, I'm glad you're here now. But what have you been doing with your life? No, I'm kidding, obviously. Listen, I know there haven't been many sports, but we here Beyond the Buzzer have been doing the things to keep you around and aboard and ready and waiting for all that's going on with COVID. Danny Thompson's been on top of things at the bubble for sure over here for the NBA as they gather up in here at Disney. And listen, there's a lot of movement and all with COVID-19. Of course, our friends at Valor. Listen, if you're trying to get off the ground, being some sort of music public figure, they're going to help you get to where you need to be. You don't win a Grammy in a day, obviously, but what you do need is representation to make sure you get your social media, all that sort of stuff together for you to get your stuff going. Go to Valor. They'll help you out with all that. And hey, we've talked many times about how they're working with Danny Thompson's old smoke alarm to make sure that it was a hit. And that's why you don't hear it anymore on the show. It could also be the fact that Danny Thompson, in fact, moved. Yes, beep. Thank you, Bobby. You know what's I'm glad you still have that lying around, man. Thank you, Bobby. But yeah, make sure you go with our friends at Valor, and they are actually backing the first segment, as they all do, of the show in the What's the Buzz. And of course, listen, guys, maybe you've heard there's this whole pandemic crossing the country known as the coronavirus, aka the infamous Corona-19. Hope you have remained healthy and safe. And if you aren't, I hope you recover quickly. The numbers here, obviously, in Florida, still a thing of great concern, which is also ironically where a bubble for two sports are. But that's a whole other thing. The good news is the NHL is working to get off the ground, and their testing numbers are very interesting. 2 players out of 800, as I understand it, 800 or so, only 2 players tested for the coronavirus. So that's a good sign for them. And listen, it's better than what we've been hearing about. And other good news, and I'm sure Danny Thompson will elaborate on this a little bit more when he jumps in on the show. But from what it would appear, Russell Westbrook is on his way, en route to the bubble. And Danny, perfect timing. We were just talking about how Mr. Westbrook's going to be joining the NBA proceedings at the bubble now, how his protocol is going to work for joining back in. Oh, my man made a face. He's got something to say about that. But by the way, we were just talking about Mentality Barbershop. You're still finding a way to make your dome look pretty good despite not being there anymore. I love it.
Well, when you're at home, you have the ability to go to your regular barber. The guy I've been cutting my hair since I was living here the first time around. So my main man over Big Red over at Master Cuts over in Charlotte, they've taken over from Mentality Barbershop, but still at the end of the day, it's still Mentality Barbershop in Orlando, yep. Master Cuts in Charlotte.
I wondered what you were doing with the other branch there. And hey, listen, Big Red Master Cuts, that's awesome. That sounds like a barbershop in a comic book. I mean, maybe Luke Cage goes there. I don't know, but not far enough north. I know, but details. It's a joke.
No, actually, it's a funny story. My barber was a former wrestling manager.
Oh,
his wife was a professional wrestler as well as a professional MMA fighter. So she and a boxer. So she's done all this type of mixed martial arts and fighting, and he was a manager. So and he cuts hair. Pretty big guy.
Literally and figuratively, it would seem, definitely, man. But speaking of big things in fighting, it would seem that Mr. Westbrook has fought against the Rona and is making his way to the bubble, man. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting to see if Russell Westbrook will play in any of the exhibition games.
Right.
With the NBA exhibition season starting up on Wednesday, with the Orlando Magic playing the first game against the Los Angeles Clippers at 3 p.m. For those who who are ready for basketball. It's really interesting to see if Russell Westbrook even jumps on any of these games in the very beginning of the bubble. I'm going to assume he's on a protocol. They haven't really said how long a protocol he's going to be under, but the good news with Russell Westbrook is that it's Russell Westbrook. He's one of the few guys in the league that will still continue to be at a high level no matter what goes on. So I don't expect him to play, but maybe one game before we get underway on the 30th, 31st. I think the Rockets play on the 31st.
Mm-hmm.
So if he just has one tune-up game, he's fine. And to be honest with you, as long as Russell Westbrook's in shape, which he pretty much is, I'm not worried about it. He's fine.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to ask the question. I mean, with especially like a veteran like Westbrook, I think it's even less so. But like, how much do individual players need to really get involved with the preseason? I mean, I feel like if they have a quorum of the squad there to kind of make sure the overall strategy and method is brought back up to speed, that's going to be a lot of it. But I mean, how big a deal is it to miss some of these preseason games?
Well, if in the case of Luka Doncic, he needs to be there. Like, he should have been playing preseason a month ago.
Yeah,
Luka Doncic came into camp overweight. He came back into the bubble overweight. So that's the first problem. When you have a star player who's coming back in a situation where he has put on a couple extra pounds, he's not looking like himself, and he's going to have to take time to get back into it. Nikola Jokic lost a lot of weight in the process. So it's really the whole idea of getting this bubble early enough was to get some of these guys the opportunity to get themselves back in game shape. But with the coronavirus, some guys not being there on time and, and just differences in size, like, it could really damper some things. But the good news with the Dallas Mavericks is that the Mavericks can't miss the playoffs. So Luka has 8 games to get himself ready for the playoffs. So unless something terribly happens, the Dallas Mavericks, I think, just need to win maybe 1 or 2 games at the most, and they'll be good to go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can appreciate how difficult it is to keep weight, under control. I mean, listen, I was just trying to get down from 330 to 300. I'm not trying to be in game shape. And it was still just real tough with Rona not being able to do a whole lot. And you're getting food delivered in. Hell, I mean, there was somebody who broke bubble protocol early on in the process, getting a food delivery. It ain't exactly health food stores that are delivering the meals. You know what I mean?
Well, the difference with this, and I see what you're saying, is the fact that Luka Doncic left the country. Luka went home. Luka went back to Slovenia, and I guess was eating everything in sight. I'm not sure what his eating plan was, but at the end of the day, he didn't do what he was supposed to, and now we're going to a situation with Luka Doncic that it's not the most ideal situation, but he literally has a week and a half to get himself ready for the season.
Hey, listen, I know how my mama cooks, so there's how that happened right there. I'm sure that's not a tough line of logic to draw.
Exactly. So it's really on the whole factor of when you watch Luka Doncic and how this is going to work. He's one of the guys that has to be in shape. Now, mind you, I think after this experience, I don't think the Dallas Mavericks will let him go home in the offseason.
Right.
I think they will keep him in Dallas with all the trainers and everybody that needs to be around him so that he can be in his best peak form when we go back in December, January, whenever the time it's time to start the season again.
So if Mama mails him food, he could still work it off. That's basically what we're saying.
Listen, his mom better pull a Donovan McNabb Campbell soup idea.
I like it. What else is going around on the NBA bubble, man? Anything you're hearing about?
Well, good news is with the bubble, we haven't had any person test positive for COVID in the last round of testing. All 300 plus players have come back clean. There has not been one positive COVID test in the last 10 days or so. Yay!
That's a big
deal.
Right.
That's huge because now we're going to still have round testing. So since everybody's cleared to go that's in the bubble, we shouldn't have any problems.
I don't know, but I was knocking on wood. What's going on, Precious? Perfect timing to bring her in right there at that break too, Bobby. Hey, listen, we're all set. We got Preston, we got Danny, we're talking up. We got Rodney. Hey, you are my favorite troll, Rodney, and I mean that with affection, man. Listen, I saw you going after Danny Thompson and Controversy Raphael, and no different than you do this show. And you know what? I felt better because I knew you weren't just going after me. Maybe you're just going after
it's don't worry about Rodney. Like I said, he tries to win, but unlike the Carolina Panthers, it doesn't work very well.
Hey, Rodney. Right. You can't take that as a diss. He didn't call them the kittens. Danny, what were you saying?
So, other news in the bubble. Like I said, we're getting ready for basketball on Wednesday. Thank you. So, let me explain how you're going to be able to watch basketball because this is going to be key. If you have NBA League Pass, you're able to watch every game on NBA League Pass because every game will either be on NBA television or it's going to be on the regional sports networks. So, if you're available or have any type of package that has regional sports networks that you're watching it before, every regional sports network will have every game. So your Spectrum Sports, your NBC Sports Philadelphia's, any of those, the local, in Orlando's case, it's Fox Sports Florida. Every single regional sports network will have all the games. If not, it's going to be on NBA TV, but you'll have access to everything on NBA League Pass. So,
I don't mean to cut you off, Dan. I'm sorry. I thought you were hitting a beat. That's my bad. But the question I have is I don't know if this is truth to this. You would know if anybody. I heard NBA League Pass is free for the rest of the year.
I've been seeing that everywhere. If that's the case, the NBA once again they're going to catch hockey on winning this week. All right, winning with no COVID test. And if League Pass is free, and I will definitely. I'll even make a post about it on Beyond the Buzzer.
Please.
Sometime Saturday tomorrow to verify if it is free. If it's free, then guess what? The NBA wins again. Well, that's all I'm saying.
All right, fair enough. Carry on.
So other things going on in the bubble. If you're a fan of the Denver Nuggets, they're returning 2 players. They get 2 players resuming in the bubble. Bad news is one of those players is not Gary Harris and the other one's not Torrey Craig. You figure this part out. If you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, Dante DiVincenzo, there's key rookie guard that played a lot of huge minutes and also his game has gotten better. He is not in Orlando, has got COVID, has not joined the team either. All right. So for those scoring at home, in the Western Conference, the Lakers have lost Rajon Rondo and Avery Bradley is nowhere to be found. All right. He's gone for the rest of the season. And Dwight Howard doesn't wear a mask. That's another story for another day. If you are a fan of the LA Clippers, Montrezl Harrell has left the team due to a family emergency. We don't know when he's coming back. The Denver Nuggets, and we talked about this on a regular basis, they're missing Nikola Jokic has supposedly lost a lot of weight. If the pictures are true, he has went through a Kevin Love transformation. It's yet to be seen. If that's the case, we'll know on Thursday what he's looking like. All right?
Okay.
Denver is still without Gary Harris, who's their best defensive player. Torrey Craig is out. But the good news is if 2 of the players include Michael Porter Jr., it might be okay for the Nuggets. All right. The Houston Rockets will get Russell Westbrook back, like we talked about earlier. So guess what, Rocket fans? You're still losing in the first round. All right. The Dallas Mavericks have come back to know that Luka Doncic has still put on weight. I'm not going to say Luka's fat, but he's put on some weight. Kristaps Porzingis put on some weight as well, too, but he's actually touched the basketball. The Mavericks are fine when it comes to health-wise. The New Orleans Pelicans did not have Zion Williamson, which will disappoint everybody on July 30th because he will not be available, supposedly, for the Jazz Pelicans game on the 30th. That's the opening game of the regular part of the season. Zion Williamson is not with the team. There is no available date when he is returning. And we don't know about his protocol status either. I put my hands up to that.
Yeah.
The Oklahoma City Thunder has a full team and a full roster available. Thank you. The Portland Trail Blazers have everybody back with the exception of Trevor Ariza. Good news for Blazers fans that Yusef Nurkic and Zach Collins look like the players they were before they got hurt. If the Pelicans can't get it together, the Blazers are dangerous. The Memphis Grizzlies completely healthy and Ja Morant looks buff. That's scary. Other teams I have not mentioned, the Phoenix Suns. All right. The San Antonio Spurs. All right. And the Sacramento Kings started off this whole process by having Rashard Holmes get re-quarantined for going to get DoorDash. As now Marvin Bagley has been hurt again, took an MRI. We don't know when he's returning. Man. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Western Conference in a nutshell. Let's shift it over to the East real quick. All right, start at the top of the order. The Milwaukee Bucks, like I mentioned before, there is no Eric Bledsoe, there is no Dante DiVincenzo. Both of them have the coronavirus and are not in Orlando with the team at all. We haven't heard anything from the Raptors. That means everything's good to go. They still that they can't go back to the border. Ask the Toronto Blue Jays. All right. The Philadelphia 76ers is playing Ben Simmons at power forward. That's all you need to know because Ben Simmons is playing power forward. This is going to be interesting to watch because of floor spacing.
I'm looking
all
forward.
Right. The Boston Celtics, Kemba Walker has been taking days off due to injury with his practice. Taking days off of practice due to injury. He's practicing one day, taking a day off. Hopefully, he'll be good to go. The Celtics don't really need him that much, but it's good to have Kemba Walker when you all have Jason Tatum. We have Jason Tatum, everybody else. In Miami, Bam Adebayo should be available by the time we get this whole process started. Supposedly he did catch the coronavirus, was not with the team at the very beginning. He should be good to go by the time it gets going. If you're a Pacers fan, great news. Victor Oladipo is available for scrimmages. 2 weeks ago, he wasn't playing. Now he's playing in scrimmages. If Oladipo is anywhere near healthy, the Pacers are a complete dark horse in all of this. All right, the Brooklyn Nets. Well, this week, no net have caught COVID.
Yay!
Yay. The Orlando Magic finally got James Ennis back, and everybody is completely available with the exception of Markelle Fultz. At last check, is still not with the team. Good news, it's not corona. Personal family matter, was excused from the team. Hopefully, we'll be back in time for the opener next week. And the Washington Wizards, well, there is no Bradley Beal. There is no John Wall. There is no Davis Bertans. I don't even know why they're in Orlando at this point. All right, I think I've covered all the bases, all the teams in the Eastern Conference. In a nutshell, I think I didn't miss anybody.
Yeah, you got East, you got West. Let me ask you one last question. The situation with Zion, would you say that's the biggest disappointment of the bubble thus far?
Here's the thing. You can't say it's a disappointment when it's considered a family matter. The real question with everything is
right. I know. I'm not trying to say he violated anything. I mean, from a fan's perspective, as far as
as a fan's perspective, if he misses significant time during the exhibition games, I'm okay with. Okay. The real question is how is the NBA going to treat Zion Williamson when we get back into actual games? Because is he going to be re-quarantined? Or are they going to make him take the 14-day protocol that normally happens? Florida's got 10,000 cases of COVID. We don't know.
Yeah.
All right. We don't know how this is going to work. The Maryland Magicians. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Listen.
You ain't wrong, Rod. I'll tell you.
I mean, listen, they're playing and the Hornets are not right now. It is what it is. Fight me. All right. So now that we talk basketball, like I said, for those watching, I said we're getting basketball back. Now, as far as the WNBA, before we go to the NFL, let's drive down the road to Bradenton. The WNBA will get started over the weekend. Yay. All right. Good news for WNBA fans is that they're tipping off this weekend with a whole bunch of games and a whole bunch of platforms. Bad news is the scrimmages have started yesterday, and there is no video footage, no television of scrimmage. All right. What teams over the WNBA in about 3 minutes? And I know it's not fair to the women in the league, but we'll make this as fast as possible. There are 10 women per roster right now. If somebody goes down, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
All right. You have new faces, new places, playing new positions. And guess what? Each team has pretty much lost players due to COVID, social injustice, because they're one of the few leagues that allow social injustice for the players without any type of problems. All right. So who are the top teams to look out for? Like I said, I mentioned before, the LA Sparks is one of the favorites. Candace Parker is playing. Naima, I can't pronounce her last name. I just destroyed her last name. It took me 8 years to get Giannis's last name correct. All right. So they have Chini. They have the only person missing off the team is Christy Tolliver. Their big free agent acquisition from the Washington Mystics will take the season off because of COVID and social injustice issues. So she's out. But the good news is the Sparks have pretty much everybody. Let's go to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is without my favorite player in the league, Liz Cambage, because it's a health issue for her not to be playing. So she's not playing at all. But you still got Asia Wilson. You still have Kelsey Plum. You still have Kayla McBride. And they also added former Atlanta Dream and also Olympian and gold medalist Angel McCoughtry. I don't think Las Vegas has any problems. The Seattle Storm, the team that won the championship 2 years ago, they get back Breanna Stewart. Enough said. Breanna Stewart, Sue Bird are both back in the lineup. And let's just say the Seattle Storm are ready to cause trouble again. All right. Minnesota, no Maya Moore. Well, there's no Maya Moore. They'll be okay, but there's no Maya Moore. The other new big situation out in the Western Conference is the Phoenix Mercury. with the Phoenix Mercury now adding Skylar Diggins-Smith to now the new big three of Skylar Diggins-Smith, Diana Taurasi, and Brittany Griner. Oh, that's going to be fun. The Western Conference is stacked and loaded all the way across the board. Let's go over to the Eastern Conference. Well, the Washington Mystics are defending champions, and even though they returned the Finals MVP and Emma Musselman, there is no Atlanta Deladon. There is no new acquisition of Tia Charles. Arguably, 2 of the 7 best players in the league will not be playing for the Mystics as they're trying to repeat as champions. And their starting point guard, Chris Tolliver, is now in LA. It's going to be a very, very weird situation for the Washington Mystics. Speaking of weird, the Atlanta Dream pretty much are basically starting over. Starting point guard Renee Montgomery out due to social injustice. Other starting guard from last year, Tiffany Hayes, is out due to she's saying off the court things that the team is paying her for, so she's gone for the entire year. Insert Kennedy Carter, the 4th overall pick, the highest one, the only player in Texas A&M history. And Kyle, listen to this: the only woman ever to be an All-American in any sport, the first one of all. And she was a 3-time All-American 3 consecutive years in a row. She'll be the new starting point guard. They added Courtney Williams from the Connecticut Sun. Speaking of the Connecticut Sun, out goes Courtney Williams, the former All-Star, and in goes DeWanna Bonner, former All-Star from the Phoenix Mercury. The Sun are going to be a team that's going to be very interesting to watch, and they're going to be fun to watch. But they have an interesting chance to take an outside shot of winning the entire WNBA championship. Indiana's talented. But the real question with Indiana is that no one really knows how Indiana's going to react to everything that's going on in the league. Not too many star players in that roster, but they're a team, and they're an actual team. They remind me of the Detroit Pistons of the 2000s. Are they're going to win a championship, be the bad boy-ass type teams? They're just a real team. No star players and a full-fledged team. Speaking of star players, there's not one bigger star than Sabrina Ionescu in the New York Liberty, the number 1 overall pick in the 2020 WNBA draft. There's one, if you don't watch her for this reason. She was endorsed by Kobe Bryant.
That's his point.
She's basically known as the female mama. Kobe signed off for her. They were so tight, Kobe would go to her games, and she was also one of Kobe's camp administrators over at the Mamba Academy. They developed a very tight niche, and she has Mamba mentality. The only woman in the history of college basketball, 2,000 points, 1,000 assists, 1,000 rebounds for her entire career. She almost averaged a triple-double as a senior. Oregon would have won the national championship. All right, that's the WNBA in a complete nutshell. So I've gotten the basketball part of the session out of the way. Kyle, let's talk the National Football League.
Oh, boy. You
threw me the lob pass for this one. Now it's your turn, my friend. Let's talk football. Well, with the NFL going on, the NFL is the only sport that was not playing when COVID started.
That's right.
They weren't playing at all. But along came a spider, and time had progressed. And Kyle, training camp is supposed to start this week, and the NFL is the only sport without any type of idea what to do with COVID. Kyle, can you please make some sense out of this, please?
Yeah, no, and see, that's the interesting thing about that is if you hear accounts for what's going on various team facilities, they couldn't be more ready within their own team facilities, right? I mean, you're hearing such glowing reports. I think the one that stands out the most, Peter King getting a tour of the Minnesota Vikings facility and writing in a column basically that they couldn't be more prepared there. Then after that, you see all the chatter on Twitter, what's going on, and all these questions being asked by big names from J.J. Watt to Russell Wilson, one of the game's best quarterbacks despite being a game manager. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is this. At the end of the day, there's still some confusion and conversation about what to do. But Kyle, you said the facilities were all intact. That's true. Where the conversation's still trying to take place is how many preseason games, if any, that they're looking to have, right? So at day's end, what we're looking to make happen is the situation where you either have no games or I think there's talk now of one game for the preseason. And basically the main reason for that is if you have those players on a roster that are on the bubble of whether or not they were going to make the cut, they need that game. That's how they get tape. if you're, let's say, like we mentioned, a JJ Watt, a Russell Wilson, a bigger name player, the whole situation changes. You don't need that. You probably know the system already. But if you're playing in a system for a first time, let's say like a Dak Prescott, you might want to have that preseason game. But the biggest conversation there is whether or not they're having a preseason. I could definitely see a scenario where they're cutting it. There's even been some loose talk of moving the season back to starting in October, which at last talk the league was against. I could see why, trying to reschedule playoff games, the Super Bowl, things like that. I mean, they had trouble rescheduling the Super Bowl for something as dire as 9/11 back when it happened. I can't imagine, that's something they're looking forward to having to do, but it may be something they need to do at the end of the day to account for Corona, man. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you've noticed this too on social media. It's been loosely said by Antonio Brown via his IG that he's retiring.
We'll get to that. I actually want to talk about that. But before we talk about that, let's take a quick commercial. Let's take a quick commercial break. I know for those who've never watched this show before, we now have commercials. Kyle, talk about lead the commercial.
Yeah, so that's CFAR. That's the Central Florida Animal Reserve. They basically specialize in finding a home for big cats, tigers, lions, the sword. A member of the board, Dr. Kevin Wiltz, is somebody who I've interviewed a couple times in reference to CTE and matters of that nature, some pharmaceutical things, performance enhancing drugs, items like that in the past, back when I had the Student of the Game podcast. Also very intimately involved. He's on the board of directors of the Central Florida Animal Reserve over here in Volusia County. Go ahead and go to their Facebook page if you're interested in supporting taking care of big cats in the area. Obviously, if a cat or something, for example, is retired from Busch Gardens or something like that, it's not like they just, take them over to I-4 and say, run free. CFAR looks after them and takes good care. They recently underwent a major upgrade to their facility. And now, right on the tail end of that, they have to deal with COVID and all of that and dealing with the cats. So any support you can offer them is appreciated, be that just spreading the word, or if you want to go ahead and find a donation, go to their Facebook page and you will find the ability to do that. That's CFAR, the Central Florida Animal Reserve. Danny Thompson.
Exactly. So we want to support the cats. That don't mean the Carolina Kittens. We're talking about the actual real cats.
Cats instead of kittens. And I didn't say Panthers. I said Tigers. So there you go.
Exactly. And so, no, this is not a Carole Baskin company. We are all full-fledged here on Beyond the Buzzer to support all the cats with the exception of the ones that play at Bank of America Stadium. All right. Before we went to commercial break, we were talking about Antonio Brown. All right. He announced his retirement once again. But based on the history fact, and Rodney Richardson actually got a point correctly, he's been retired.
Correct.
Antonio Brown's played for more teams than marriages by a Kardashian in the last 2 years. All right. So with Antonio Brown being retired again, that means the idea of him playing for the Baltimore Ravens, a team that could have used him, for example, as a chance at a Super Bowl run, won't be happening this year.
I mean, I'd have been curious to see him playing with Rusty, not for nothing. I mean, if Deion Sanders can find a way to fit in with the Niners, anything's possible.
Listen, Antonio Brown would have been good next to Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson. It does not matter. But remember, money talks, Super Bowls need, and guess what? I have a feeling something's going to happen injury-wise because of this shortened season, guys not being 100%. I think Antonio Brown will come around, and somebody's going to come calling for him. We know it won't be Bill Belichick this time around. that's just here nor there. All right, other NFL news. So yes, we talked about the fact that the NFL players have not gotten back into camp yet, and this time the NFL players decided to do something I didn't think they were going to do. They took to social media to call out Roger Goodell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's my Jason Garrett clap as well.
Oh, it's not. You got to be a lot more excited about it.
No. This is the Jason Garrett last game of the season. I know I'm going to be out of the door clap. Golf clap.
Carry on.
As I was saying. Or the memorial, I thought Tiger Woods was going to win golf tournament clap. There we go. All right. So the NFL players have gone to social media to call out practices when it comes to social distancing, as well as getting the players back on the field. Okay, so here's what's going on. We are now, Kyle, the Chiefs and the Texans go to camp when?
I believe they're all scheduled to go on the 28th.
All right. The NFL has literally had 5 months to figure this out. We've had COVID going on around this country since the end of February, first part of March. The NFL is the only sport that has not gone back, and their players are not safe. If you thought baseball was a mess, the NFL has not figured this out yet, and players have taken to social media. Russell Wilson mentioned on social media, hey, my wife is almost 6 months pregnant,
right?
And I have no protocol. These games are traveling. Do I need to play? DeMarcus Lawrence. My kids do in October. My son and my daughter's coming in October. I don't feel safe. J.J. Watt went through a laundry list of what's been said with no idea on COVID testing. All right. Now, Kyle, we have mentioned how some sports have messed this thing up process completely.
Right.
All right. The NHL has gotten it right so far. Now, mind you, they had 2 players test positive for COVID out of 800-plus players that's in between Toronto and Edmonton. All right. So NHL is not winning this week. The NBA, all their players have tested with 0. So we're good. MLS will be finishing up their tournament in the next couple of days. And speaking of MLS, Orlando City is 2-0 with a chance to be undefeated in the bracket this week. This might be the longest winning streak the Orlando City team has had since before they even got in MLS.
Yeah, if they win or tie tonight, they win the bracket, and well, if Philadelphia wins, they win that group. So it's a big game tonight for sure.
Listen, they have a chance to actually win something. All right,
I know.
Exactly. All right. The other part of the factor is the women's what's going on out in Utah with the WNSL. Guess what? We haven't heard a single COVID case out there, so it actually can be done.
Mm-hmm.
You look at professional basketball across the world, we haven't really had anything. They're playing professional soccer, with the exception of New Zealand and Australia, who got it right a long time ago. Everybody's playing sports right now, but the NFL has no protocol when it comes to this. All right. NFL players are traveling, and they're expected to – what they're doing is they're cutting preseason games, trying to even cut it down to as many as 1 preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to work. If you're talking about a disaster, this is a disaster. Players are scared. Donovan Smith of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers said, listen, I'm not feeling this idea of being a guinea pig. And guess what? The way the NFL is going, I don't blame them. They're traveling. There's no protocol for testing.
I was going to come in about the testing. Really, I mean, that's the biggest question mark, right? They're trying to figure out how often they're testing, right? It's a situation where the league, you can call it callous if you want, but they're trying to also kind of figure out, for better or worse, how to make sure there's still a league on the other side of all this. They don't want to test every day. That's cost prohibitive. But what I understand is that they're attempting to work out whether they're going every 3 days, every other day, as far as the testing. Now, much like you, we don't have answers yet on what kind of traveling, how many fans there be. We've had some clubs announce, such as the Jacksonville Jaguars, that they're going to go 25% capacity. But what I can tell you at this point is I know it looks like a situation where things aren't figured out and some things aren't. But keep in mind, while the NFL has had a lot of time to observe, the numbers keep on fluctuating. I feel like the NFL was trying to be optimistic in their planning, and it's caught up with them. I'm with you on that 100%. Before I sign it off as a complete disaster, I'm going to see what happens when players show up to camp. If the concerns of players at camp are gone, in other words, you don't see things coming out of social media at that point, I'm going to feel like the NFL started to figure it out. I would have no problem if the NFL opted to push things to start in October. I can tell you the league isn't really a fan of doing that for the reasons we kind of mentioned. But hey, when push comes to shove, they might find themselves in a place where they don't have a choice. I'm with you, Danny. It doesn't look great. I'm not prepared to sign off and say it's not going to happen and that it's a disaster. But man, they better come up with something soon, or it damn sure will be.
Well, here's the thing. So far, like you said, the Jaguars at 25%. I think the Ravens are at 25%. If you're a Giants and Jets fan, you're talking about in the state of New Jersey, no more than 500 people in the stadium at a time. 25% capacity is normal for the. I don't know who that team is in the Jags. They're used to pumping in the crowd noise. It's some team, the LA, the Flake, some team in Florida, I guess. All right, but the other part about this, and yes, the travel's been the issue. Now, hopefully, the NFL does not go into another sport we'll talk about in a second in their situation and make everything public. But a key date you might want to look out for is August 1st, because that's the date where all NFL players have the ability to opt out of the season. The NFL is so many different players. So I'm not going to say it's going to take one. It's going to take a couple of star players. I can see Russell Wilson opting out of this thing because, like I said, his wife, DeMarcus Lawrence, is the same way. Players have health concerns. Okay. That could be the issue when it comes to this. Like you said, Kyle, we don't know about testing. How do you test guys? For me, the ideal testing scenario will be this. You test them on, I would say test them on Tuesday after the game. You test them on Friday. Because the COVID test normally comes back with the way they've been doing it is within 24. I would say either late by 5 p.m. on Thursday. You test them on Monday after the game, the day after the game, and then on Thursday by 5 p.m. You get the test back on Saturday. That means players will be out and designated on Saturday before they play on Sunday. Teams have 24 hours to figure out if a player's out and how to adjust to it. Because there's nothing worse than a COVID test coming back at 11 o'clock when the injury report comes out and, George Kittle's supposed to play. Now George Kittle's out, for example. Not to say George Kittle's COVID, so don't quote me on that. I think that might be an ideal testing situation.
You would pick a scenario that would be detrimental and horrible to my team, though. I can't help but notice that. Why couldn't you say Matt Ryan?
I mean, I would have said players on other teams, but there's some situations that are worse than others.
Hey, listen, enough about the kittens, man.
I haven't said anything about them. I could have been saying the Las Vegas Raiders for all you were saying.
That's also true. But I want to add in this too. I think you have a good blueprint. And though you were assuming a Sunday game, I think the same thing should be even true if they're playing on a different day of the week, right? So same protocol for Monday games would be,
Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Comes out Saturday for Sunday games. Monday games, it would come out Sunday for Monday games, Wednesday for Thursday games, etc. And that's not far off of what I was thinking, right? Because really, honestly, if everybody does what they're supposed to do, the only true risk is when they're in flight, right? You're actually literally and figuratively, right? Mm-hmm. So you hit them before they travel. You get them right when they land, going to or coming from. And how you want to handle home teams, that could be done separately, but I concentrate on the road teams first because they're going to be at the biggest risk every week, right?
You're going to deal with airports.
And more, So from that perspective, I think you and I are kind of one mind there, and which kind of proves my point. The NFL still has an opportunity to get this right. You mentioned baseball, bro. They ain't that messed up yet. Although there are some questions about how they want to handle the salary cap moving forward, dealing with any revenue shortfall. The NFL is adverse to owners on the whole are adverse to dealing with a flat cap, meaning they're having no increase in salary cap in coming years. Their position is to make sure that the players feel some of the financial bite along with them, which in my opinion is absolutely horrible a statement to make or have somebody report on you because the players are the ones taking the expletive deleted risk. But that's a whole other concept right there I'm getting at. That being said, the NFL can do it right, but to share in your skepticism, there's some things they're going to botch, man. I'm with you.
Now, speaking of botching, Major League Baseball will begin on Friday. All right. Perfect segue into baseball. Why is baseball being botched right now? You have unhappy players traveling to games, and guess what? It should not have been this way. Mm-hmm. Okay. When I say it should not have been this way, Major League Baseball opening day on the same week as the WNBA, with the NBA falling right behind that, and the NFL training camp within all the same area should have never happened. This thing, baseball should be through its first month of the season, and Mike Trout should have 12 home runs by now. Why? Baseball should have started in June. We're not, or even worst case scenario, they should have been having baseball on July 4th, quote unquote, 4th of July fireworks and baseball. That's how it should have happened. Now we got baseball opening day, and it's going to be weird. Okay. Now, for those who didn't watch any Korea League baseball, ESPN2, you should be ashamed of yourself. But there's nothing better than watching 4 a.m. baseball. All right. Number one, Korean League baseball had stuffed animals in the seats as fans, and I was all for it.
That was cool. That was cool.
All right. Anytime you have a chance to see, since Naruto, SpongeBob, Panda Bear, and also with remnants of SpongeBob SquarePants all in the front row, I'm all for it. All right. Baseball's pumping in crowd noise. Baseball looks really interesting right now. Here's the problem. Baseball's getting buried because guess what? The fanfare of coming back was buried because of the fact that everything with public, all their entire labor disputes, all their issues, all their concerns with public. We mentioned with the NFL, as long as the NFL doesn't go public with this and they get their players and the union together and get this thing done quietly, it will not make effect. You do not want to happen with baseball because you got unhappy players who aren't really getting paid the way they want to. They've got to travel from city to city. They're playing, 60 games here? And it starts on Friday, and I can't even name half of the opening day pitchers right now. That's how unexcited I am about Major League Baseball. All right? Not because I'm a Mets fan. It's because of the simple fact of this is really not awe-inspiring sports right now. Listen, the season's short. We don't know. And I'll be honest with you, Kyle. Baseball might be the sport more likely than football and more likely than the NBA to have the season clipped. And I'll say this. The reason being is that the NBA is in the bubble. The NFL will figure all this out because they're only traveling 1 day a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only traveling a certain amount of time. Baseball teams are traveling across the country to try to keep the flights and everything mitigated, trying to keep everything possible. And the Toronto Blue Jays, 4 days before the season starts, don't have a home.
I got nothing for you, bro.
At last check, the Toronto Blue Jays is looking for a home through Zillow as well as Apartment Finder. They don't have a home. They can't even play in their own country. Their own country said, you know what? We'll see you guys next year. They pushed the Blue Jays out of Rogers Center in Toronto, and now they've been reported to either going to Buffalo. Hey, listen, it's not a bad idea. Buffalo chicken wings, but here's the problem. It's a minor league stadium, and the stadium doesn't have any type of major league facilities at all. All right?
Well,
Strike one.
They used to have a franchise in Montreal. They could oh, wait.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Site number 2, Destin, Florida, with home of the spring training of the Montreal Expo. The Toronto Blue Jays. Excuse me. You got to say that. The Toronto Blue Jays, home of the Toronto Blue Jays. Great. That's another team in Florida. All right. Listen, the same issue with Charlotte was the same issue with Buffalo. They do not have a major league facility ready to go. Major league players do not want to play in a non-major league facility. So where's the other place they're considering? Arguably the worst place to play baseball possible, which is in St. Petersburg at the home of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and sharing a stadium with the Devil Rays.
The Trop might as well be a minor league stadium.
The idea of them sharing a stadium with another team in the worst state possible. This is why baseball is baseball's baseballing right now. All right. You're telling me that you're going to send, first off, Tampa Stadium is not exactly the best thing to look at, aesthetically pleasing, but you're now going to have a major league team share a stadium with another major league team in the highest state for COVID you possibly could find. Who is running this thing? Like, this is up there with Pete Carroll play calling in the Super Bowl or my man Raphael Haynes choosing Matt Hasselbeck in the bottom 10 of his quarterback rankings. All right.
Woo! I know we just talked about the NBA, but that was a hell of a dunk, Danny Thompson.
All right. So for those who didn't watch top 10s before we get into Mount Rushmore, Kyle, I know you want to talk about Raphael's pick of Matt Hasselbeck. He gave an idea for it. I'm going to give you 45 seconds, and I'm going to sit back. If I had some lemonade, I'd drink it right now. Go ahead.
You know, the sad thing is, as much as you got right, making sure my dude Steve McNair got a mention, you had Phillip Rivers. I was very excited about that. You both had Michael Vick, and then you come up with Matt Hasselbeck. Are you kidding me? I mean, did you forget? I mean, listen, I get it. You don't like to pick guys that come out of Jacksonville. Maybe Mark Brunell's too early. Okay, but I'd take him over Matt Hasselbeck. Hell, I'd take David Garrard over Matt Hasselbeck. I'd take Jake Delhomme over Matt Hasselbeck. There's a shout out for you, Rodney. Heck, does Tim Tebow count? He's probably too late, but no, I'm joking with Tim Tebow. But the point is this, man. Matt Hasselbeck is a guy that has been carried and was carried by a great defense and Sean Alexander. And
good offensive line. And Steve Hutchinson, the offensive line.
Thank you, but you beat me to it. But that's a great point also. And oh, by the way, when Alexander started to fall apart, so too did Matt Hasselbeck. Sure, he came to life in backing up Andrew Luck one time when he was out, but didn't necessarily go great either.
Listen, Kyle. Listen, Matt Hasselbeck's the only guy I know that says, we want the ball, we're going to score.
Beat me to it, man. See, I was going to make that joke. Raph took his top 10 and said, I'm going to take this top 10 and I'm going to score. And then he pits Matt Hasselbeck. Bro, come on.
Exactly. All right. The reason why Turner Field's not why I go to Turner Field, because if it's still open. Well, Turner Field has basically been converted into is owned by Georgia State at this point. So when Atlanta got the new stadium over at SunTrust Field, the Georgia State University took over Turner Field. So they've converted that entire stadium into a football stadium. So at this point, I don't think it's even an option for baseball at this point, because now you have to deal with the University of Georgia State University at this point.
I don't think that's impossible, though. I have to be honest. I mean, they only be used once a week, but
you got to understand, though, you've got to convert a stadium that's already in football, and who's going to be doing the converting, and who's going to pay for that?
Well, the MLB would have to, or the club, I would think.
Like I said, it's the Toronto Blue Jays here. Okay, who's paying for that? Joe Carter's not paying for it. Neither is John Olerud. All right. So, time for our one of my favorite segments of the show, and the show that part of the show that most people watch for anyway. It's time for Mount Rushmore. For those who've never watched Mount Rushmore before, this segment's also brought to you by Valor as well too. Check out Valor. It's Valor, ITS, Valor.us for everything that you need as far as your media concerns, as well as commercials, which they'll be debuting next week, as well as other things, including social media. If you are an artist or if you have a show like us but need music in the background, they'll take care of you, as you see them from Valor. All right. So Kyle and I will go through what we call Mount Rushmore. So those who've never traveled, never seen Mount Rushmore, never heard of it, shame on you. We go through different categories every time on the show. Kyle doesn't know the categories until I tell him the categories. And so we each pick our version of Mount Rushmore. Last week, we did cartoons.
Great topic, by the way, Danny Thompson.
Yes. And Kyle, and some of these answers might be duplicated in this week's Mount Rushmore, but I'm going to do it anyway. So tonight, Kyle, tonight's Mount Rushmore will be, now, like I said, we've done sports, we've done pop culture, we've done food. But tonight, Kyle, we're going to go a little super on this one.
Okay.
Kyle, what is your Mount Rushmore of superheroes?
Oh, man. I knew you were going to do this at some point. I just didn't think it'd be this soon, man. Okay, so listen. Obviously, this is not limited to Marvel and DC.
It's all superheroes.
That's correct. And for me, I'm going to be going for personal favorites that I found enjoyable, not necessarily the most important or who's going to win in a fight or any of this nonsense. That the heroes I identify with are the ones that are going to make this list. And straight up, here we go off the top. Listen, all you guys out there who were of my age bracket, watched Fox at 11, or I think it was 11, to make sure you checked out the latest episode of X-Men. But that led into what I thoroughly enjoyed as a nice downer for the day, something I enjoyed to watch on Saturdays. And it was probably not only one of the cooler superheroes out there, also one of the funniest shows. I shout out Spoon as I give you the tick. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. You're laughing. There's hope for you after all. I'm probably going to get some flack from Precious, but that's okay. I still have 3 more to make it back up. Next, stand in the superhero bracket. I'm not going to repeat Spider-Man here. He's not the top 4 for me, but I do enjoy him. He's a great time all the way around. Listen, Spider-Man whined a little too much for me. I get it. He's a kid. It's a little awkward. Whatever. But going into Superman, this is a good. You can tell I'm stalling a bit here because I'm talking all sorts of trash. But The next one in line that goes off the tip, I'll put it this way. I did first see him in the Spider-Man cartoon. I thought he was cool. And then I heard he was casted by a guy that played Sherlock Holmes and Smaug the Dragon. And I'm like, that's a fit. And then they brought to life Doctor Strange. Listen, this is a very unique idea, and it's something I sympathize with. Pretty good at what he does, kind of cocky, has a background in healthcare, makes a lot of sense for me. Granted, minus the whole maiming thing. Not really down with that part. Glad that didn't happen. But listen, if for nothing else, check out the Doctor Strange movie for the whole section towards the end of the film where they're fighting as time's reversing around them. Very cool stuff, very cool concept. And that's somebody else for me that's going to make the mountain. Shoot, there's so many different directions you could go here. It's such a great topic, Danny Thompson. Next in line, the more I think about it, the more I'm going to go with it. This is a guy who is definitely every offensive lineman's hopeful. You want to be this guy, and not just because he turns into steel. No, I didn't say Man of Steel. Superman's boring. You can keep him. My man, Colossus. Okay, he was already a giant and just a tank anyway, and then you go the wrong way, I turn into steel. Then, by the way, somebody who's super strong and also an artist. No, I'm not saying he reminds me of Aaron Evans. Yes, he does. But I got Colossus on there as well. And man, to round it out, this is gonna be a tough one. Some hearts have to be broken here, man. Favorite superhero, and keep in mind, he didn't just say TV, ladies and gentlemen. I have a lot of breathing room to play with. But to round it all off, superhero, man, I had it on the tip of my tongue and then I canceled myself out because I was like, it didn't sound right. This is the toughest time I've had in the Mount Rushmore so far. I think, Danny Thompson. I haven't had a straight up roadblock like this yet. Maybe I need to stop drinking so many bourbon sours before the show. I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
Plug, ding, ding, ding.
What's that?
Plug, ding, ding, ding. Continue.
But yeah, let's see. I don't know. Do the turtles count as superheroes?
Listen, if you want me to have a superhero, they count as superheroes. It's up to you. This is your list, not mine.
It is. That is true. It's a list, man. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go nostalgia. I got He-Man to fill the final spot. What?
He-Man. Woo, He-Man. Woo, Masters of the Universe.
All
right, Bobby. Before I drop mine, what's yours? What you got?
I'm not a big comic book guy. Never was. But I'm gonna go with let's say Batman.
Sure.
Superman. Iron Man. And Flash Gordon.
Oh, Flash Gordon's a good one. I can't help but notice, Bobby, I'm not a comic book guy, but 3 out of my 4 are gonna be comic books. And that's okay. I like it.
It's all for movies, though. It's all for movies. Nothing to do with books or anything.
That's fair.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's your opinion. It's Mount Rushmore. All right, so let me go into mine. All right, so Kyle, you threw me off with the tick. That was hilarious, by the way.
Hey,
but the tick is slept on. Hilarious cartoon, by the way. All right, so if I look at superheroes, listen. Like I said, this is no particular order, but for me, listen, my first person on my Mount Rushmore list, he had spiky hair. We talk about Saturday morning cartoons. He was the man of the Saturday morning cartoons. He was a prototypical word I can't say on television, but Wolverine was that guy.
Yeah.
Adamantine claws. He got beat up, and guess what? He didn't feel it. He got right back up.
It just matter.
Yes, and he had adamantine claws, like literally. All right, and he had like the hairstyle that everybody wanted. All right.
Oh,
listen, I wanted that hairstyle as a kid. All right, can you imagine me with a Wolverine haircut?
No, I cannot. Let's keep it.
Good thing nobody has the ability to do type of art in my head right now. All right, number 2. All right, it's gonna be I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Black Panther's number 2 on my list. All right.
Yep. Honorable mention from me, definitely.
Outstanding movie, but the entire comic book series was flat phenomenal as well too. All right, Black Panther was just that guy. All right, he was smooth, he was cognizant, and listen, the man can fight with the potion and without the potion.
True.
All right, and he ran Wakanda forever.
Oh.
All right, now number 3 on my list. All right, so we've gone 1, 2. All right, so now I'm going to go a little bit different here. No, Batman's not on my list, and neither is Superman. After watching Batman and Superman together in the same movie, I canceled both of them.
Hold up.
All
See,
right.
that's a bad instance of both those characters, though. Let's be fair.
Listen. Batman's been done wrong for years, and so is Superman. But you put them both together, and you make them like a UPN television series back in the 90s. You can't select the UPN. Both of them are gone. All right.
Wow. Hey, at least UPN had Buffy the Vampire Slayer for a season. I'm just
I can go through a lot of the shows on UPN. All right.
That's true.
All right. And the WB. All right. The WB. All right. So next on my list, one of my favorite cartoon characters is Green Lantern.
Oh, that's a strong pick, Danny Thompson.
Green Lantern was that guy.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Green Lantern hasn't had a movie yet. DC. Figure this one out.
One that's good.
They haven't had a movie. I don't count DC movies or anything, okay? Jason Momoa as Aquaman doesn't count. All right. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Who's the last one? Listen. All right. If anything, Spider-Man can't make the list because Spider-Man, like you said before, unless it's Miles Morales, but that's a completely different version of Spider-Man.
That's true.
For me, I'm going to go in a different direction with this one as well, too. One of my favorite superheroes. Listen, if you didn't watch Dragon Ball Z, you should. Why? Goku was that dude from Dragon Ball Z. All right. Goku he fought for over 5,000 years. Okay. Super strength, super power. Listen, I watched Dragon Ball Z. I watched Dragon Ball Z into my 30s. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I watched it into my 30s. All right. Goku can probably whoop anybody on this panel, any group that we come up with. Colossus, Thor. Listen, this man could have brought the time stones back as well, too. He could have snapped Thanos by himself. All right. Super quick, super powerful. And listen, the man fought for 35 years. So Goku is the last one on my list. All right.
Listen, the only beef I got with Goku is he is very powerful. And the reason why he's so powerful is because he's spending so many of those episodes into your 30s building up power before he throws a damn punch. So
exactly. Who doesn't want somebody who can literally beat you with one punch? All right. In the chat, Rodney Richardson, Captain America, Spider-Man
is bad at his job, Rodney Richardson.
Like I said, Captain America is all right. But to me, I would say Thor before Captain America.
Strong take, Danny Thompson.
Listen, fat Thor, skinny Thor doesn't matter. All right. Thor is still better than Captain America. I said it. All right. Also, to who? He's a superhero to me.
Who, Goku?
Yes.
Who's a superhero? How is he not a superhero?
Listen.
Precious, I don't know, man. I'm not following you on this one.
Listen, all I was going to say is we're going to have to watch Dragon Ball Z on that one. All right. So Rodney Richardson says, thank you. Yes, thank you for 4 and 12. We appreciate you. All right. What? I might even talk about Clemson for crying out loud. All right.
Oh God, why?
I'm talking about Clemson football, all right? They might win 4 out of the 12 games they play in the ACC this year, okay?
Hey, they better hope not, because all they're going to do is propel the American into the Power 5. I said
know what?
Hashtag better conference. What, you intimidated by my facts, Danny Thompson?
Listen, the American wins bowl games. What can I say?
You didn't have to get that factual.
Hashtag facts. All right. Kyle, any shouts before we duck out tonight?
Listen, man, I'm glad to tell you that, first of all, always good to be on with you, Danny Thompson. I'm glad you managed to literally weather the storm. So anybody who's about to give him a hard time for being late was not my dude's fault. Get his back. Listen, glad you were able to jump in and do the thing. Bobby, thank you for helping us behind the scenes as you always do. Let me give a shout out to my man, also Demosthenes Euclid. Hilarity by Default is back in tow. Your Harlem Nights episode is coming, Danny Thompson. I listen. I keep telling Demos, the people wants it.
Exactly. Big shouts to everybody in the chat. Bobby Blackjack up in New Jersey. His Wi-Fi just went out. So, like I said, we've had Wi-Fi issues tonight, so it's not just me. Big shouts to everybody in the chat room. Rodney, Precious, everybody in the chat. And like I said, we'll discuss about Dragon Ball Z at a later point in time. All right. Also, at the same time, big shouts to everybody like, share, and takes care of the show every single week. Like I said, we can't do this without you guys, and you're the best reason why we do this show every single week. So, Thursday night, we will actually have actual NBA games to talk about. Yay! Hopefully, the NFL might have caught some common sense, and will baseball catch a clue? We don't know.
And the Yankees will be on.
The who?
The Yankees.
Like I said, hopefully baseball can figure it out. All right. So for myself, Bobby Blackjack up in New Jersey, the student of the game, Mr. Kyle Nash. Like I said, check out Kyle's work everywhere. It's a Hilarity by Default. And also check out, like I said, this show on Monday and Thursday nights, channel 198 on Zingo Television and Blackjack Television. So for myself and the student of the game, Mr. Kyle Nash, I'm Danny Thomas. We'll check you guys out on Thursday night. Peace.